Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. So how did this happen? When did it happen? And how urgent was it by Noah?
Well, it happened over All-Star Weekend, and actually Melo initiated the conversation, and he was asking Noah about Tom Thibodeau, what it's like to play for him, because, there's the rumors of, one, the Bulls going after Melo in the summer, and two, maybe Thibodeau ended up in New York because he has problems with the front office in Chicago. So Melo wanted to know from Noah what it's like to play for him, what Thibodeau is like. And as the conversation went on, that's when Noah said, look, man, you can go to L.A., but if you want to win a ring, if you want your legacy to be about winning, you need to come to Chicago. And Melo kind of responded like, hey, I see you guys. I know you play hard. You're hungry. I admire all that. He also told him that Derrick Rose is his son's favorite player. So Melo was non-committal, but certainly I think the Bulls look like a favorable option from my vantage point.
But from the conversation, Chris, was it more Melo wanting to know about Thibodeau to bring him to New York, or more Noah trying to convince Melo to go to Chicago?
I'm not sure what Melo's intention was. Obviously, it was for one of those two reasons, whether he go to Chicago and play for him or Thibodeau would come to New York. But I'm not sure which way Melo was leaning in that regard. And I think with Noah, I think it kind of, in the midst of the conversation, I don't think Noah went into it with the intention of, hey, I got to get Melo to Chicago. But as they began talking, that's when he started talking to him about, hey, you need to come join us. I also know that Derrick Rose would be on board, to say the least, with Melo joining them in Chicago. He's not a guy that has recruited in the past. We know in 2010 when they had all that cap space, he didn't recruit. But I'm told a lot of that's because the Bulls really didn't go to Rose to do that, thinking that's his personality. If the Bulls go to Derrick Rose and say, hey, we want you to reach out to Melo, we want you to help us get Melo here, I'm told that he will at least do some bit of recruiting.
All right, let's take this to the next logical step. The Lakers are going to have more cap room than the Bulls, so they could pay him more than the Bulls. Obviously, the Knicks could pay more than anybody else. In order for the Bulls to even make a run, they've got to amnesty Boozer, right?
They got to amnesty Boozer. That would give them $14 or $15 million to play with and offer Melo, which obviously isn't near what he can get. His max would start at $22.4. Then they could trade Mike Dunleavy. He makes $3 million a year. So then you could offer Melo a contract starting at $17 or $18 million. So the fact is that this summer they can't offer him a max deal. They can get, a hefty deal, but the question is, a lot of people that know Melo are saying, and these aren't his confidants, but these are just people that have known him well over the years, they say that he's not going to turn down that money that the Knicks can offer. And I'll tell you this, up to 3 weeks ago, I felt, 80, 90% certain Melo would stay in New York. But this losing has really gotten to him. I can see it in his body language. I've talked to people close to him. They're telling me he doesn't want to wait another year. He doesn't want to go through something like this again next year. I would counter with this if you're the Knicks. Next year, they can only tinker with the roster. But they still should enter the season as a team thinking they can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't have to be this bad. And then 2015 is when they'll try to make a run. The thing is this. There's no guarantee they're going to get anybody in 2015.
That's the big question mark. But here's another thing, Chris. If you look at Melo, he has now really painted himself into a corner. All you said, it's all about winning, right? Well, yeah. There's such a difference between the money that he can make with the Knicks and anybody else. If he chooses the Knicks, he comes off as so disingenuous because there's no way you could choose the Knicks when you say it's all about winning. If it's all about winning, then he has to leave the Knicks.
Well, it's never all about anything. It's never all about money or all about winning or all about marketing and your profile nationally. It's always a combination. I definitely think Melo wants to win, but it's not all about winning. If it was all about winning, he never would have came to New York in the first place. I know that there was the thinking that, hey, Amari's playing well. Remember, Amari was looking like a potential MVP when Melo came here. But still, Denver was in a better position than the Knicks. They had just been to the conference finals a few years earlier, and they were looking like the Knicks weren't looking like a champion at that point. So it's not all about winning. But you're right. He's made different statements. I mean, he's made statements too, though, that I want to retire a Knick. I want to recruit players to come to New York. So he's made statements that are kind of on both sides of the situation. But you're right. If it's just if your number one goal is to win a championship, and look, you can still make a good amount of money in Chicago. You still be in a big market where you're really not going to take any type of hit marketing-wise, because Chicago's not like going to Denver or Milwaukee or something like that. And it's just a good situation where I think they'd have a great chance to win. So you're right. If it's mainly about winning, the Bulls looks like a great place to go.
But is it a great place to go when you consider Derrick Rose as a guy that hasn't played a complete season in how long? I mean, if I'm Melo, would I be concerned that I'd go to Chicago and one of the best pieces to play with may get hurt again?
Well, it has to be in the back of your mind. There's no question about that. The Bulls, and what else are they going to say? But they'll tell you that Derrick Rose, they think is going to be great. He's going to be back to what he was. And I know this meniscus injury isn't like the ACL. The one saving grace and the thing the Bulls can hang their hat on when they're talking about Derrick Rose is that even though he didn't play that well this season, he did show the explosiveness of old. Like, in fact, at times he actually looked like he may be more explosive. So athletically, he should be able to be what he's always been. I don't think he'll get back to the MVP caliber Rose, but if he's just a perennial all-star caliber player, that's great enough to play with Melo. But you're right. That's something you have to think about in your back of your mind. And look, let me say this. I know the Bulls are going to try to add a great player. They want to improve. I know the luxury tax is not going to be an impediment for them. But there's a possibility. They've got this kid over in Europe, Nikola Mirotic, who everybody raves about. He's a power forward. He's 23 years old, plays for Real Madrid, and everybody's got high hopes for him. If the Bulls try to bring him over this summer, then that'll take up some of the money on their cap, and they wouldn't go after Melo. But if they don't go after him this summer, then they'll try to bring Melo in. I wouldn't worry about the European kid. I'd leave him over there and go for Melo. But it's not a guarantee that they're going to do that. I think they will.